He was sure a homely cow dog. Old Ugly was his name. Though he was hard to look at, they all loved him just the same. They bragged about Old Ugly and the great things he had done. Said he's like a family member. That's so? Which one? Old Ugly is by either Don or Phil Kennington.
Ken Phillips has lived in Idaho for most of his 81 years. He's a typical Idaho resident in many ways, currently living in St. Anthony in Fremont County.
I heard a little poem and I adapted it to Fremont County. I don't know who wrote it to begin with, but when it's wintertime in Fremont County and the gentle breezes blow, about 70 miles an hour and 52 below, you can tell you're in Fremont County because the snow's up to your butt. And you take a breath of Fremont air and your nose holes both freeze shut. But Fremont County's beautiful, so I think I'll hang around. I could never leave Fremont County. My feet are frozen to the ground. I'd always loved horses. Going back to when we moved to Rigby, I sold my bike and I bought an old gray horse. When we bought him, Tom said he was 10 years old. He was really gentle for kids, but if you'd kick him in the ribs, he could get out and really go. But anyway, after we moved back into town in Rigby, we had to get rid of him. And so Dad called Tom Jenkins, and he came up with a high truck and stepped up in the truck and said, "Come on, Weasel," and the horse jumped up in there, and Dad says, "He acts like he knows you," and Tom says, "Well, he ought to. I've been buying and selling that horse for 25 years. Anyway, Dad got a big chuckle out of that. But
He loves his family.
when Janet got out of the bus, that's the first time I saw her. And I just had a special feeling when I saw her. And Pete Jensen, he was a bachelor. He'd never married. He was just moving a few things out the day we moved in. And he looked at Janet and Kenny Jr. and said, "If I had somebody like that, I'd never leave this place." I've thought about that all the years and how thankful I was to have a wife and family.
He has something to say about the environment.
And Phil Kennington wrote about the seagull. The old judge, wasn't happy when they brought the cowboy in. The charge was seagull poaching. It was time for discipline. It was time to teach this feller that we all should coexist, or else the seagulls may end up on the endangered species list. And so the judge demanded Jake explain the reason why the environment got trampled and that seagull had to die. Jake says, "Oh, I was lost out on the prairie. Sees this bird up in the tree. I hadn't eaten for days. It was either him or me." The judge felt compassion. The cowboy seemed sincere. Said he'd join the Save a Seagull Club and be a volunteer. So the judge dismissed the case. To pursue it seemed a waste. Then he said, "Jake, by the way, just how does seagull taste?" "Oh, it's similar to any other fowl. It's a little like bald eagle, but it's more like spotted owl."
He also has an unusual hobby, cowboy poetry.
I like it because it tells stories of actual experiences of cowboys and so on. But when I got interested in it about 27 years ago, they started the Cowboy Poets of Idaho over here in St. Anthony, and I was to the poetry gathering, and so I joined the Cowboy Poets of Idaho, and so it's just been a good hobby.
And like the best of us, Ken likes to laugh at himself.
And Phil Kennington wrote about cowboy romance. They strode through Bubba's pasture. The evening it was grand. He longed to hold her closer, but he only held her hand. The full moon showed a cow and calf. They nuzzled in the light, and Rose and Bubba watched the pair, a most romantic sight. And Bubba said, "Why, Rose, I'd like to be a-doing that right now." And Rose, she said, "Go right ahead, 'cause Bubba, it's your cow,